Okay, so I'm just going to grab this door here and kind of check out these parts. What we're going to be building is this section right here. So we're going to need this door, we're going to need this piece, we're going to need these green pieces, we're going to need that piece, and the sign, the window, and the granite underneath the window. For now, I think that's all we're going to need. I think that's it. Uh, So let's just drag these over and copy them. And now we'll start building the door first. So I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees and then another 90. And these other ones I'm going to rotate too. Um, that one is going to be vertical. So select both of these and rotate them 90. And then this one's going to be horizontal. So we're going to have to rotate that one up. So that looks good. Um, so I think we'll work on the door here first. So I'm just going to isolate this and then turn on our edge faces normal so we can see that too. And we'll just start breaking these edges up. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward through this part here. These are all kind of repetitive actions, so I'm going to still show them in the fast forwarding part of it, but there's no need to go into it let's go ahead and switch to our faces mode. And I'm just going to extrude these out. This one, and this one. And the bottom one. The sides will do a different extrusion. So let's go to our perspective view, and then we'll go to extrude. And I think we'll go another 30. Okay, so let's extrude this plate here, and we'll go to 40. Oop. 50. I'm just kind of seeing how these two end pieces are going to be. They're not going to be extruded that much, but we got to give them some thickness. So probably like, I don't know, 10. That looks pretty good, but try 20. So it's kind of looking pretty good. Let's hit the check mark, and then we'll bring this, turn off our snap, and just bring this back. I don't know how much. Maybe we're just gonna have to see what looks right. So let's just move this back to about there. So we're just going to do the same thing with this part here. Just block out the bevels and move our points around, and then delete the edges, and then extrude our faces. And take a look, see what we got here. So I'm just going to copy this and then rotate it. Probably not quite 90, but maybe like 80 degrees. We'll see. We'll go to the top view and see if that's going to be enough. Because this entrance is kind of beveled in. So we need to kind of make it beveled, but I don't know what exactly. I think maybe 60 would be too much. Probably something around 80, not 90. So 70 looks a bit too much, so I'm going to go with 80. And just move this over to here. And we'll just go into our pivot mode changing pivot mode, pivot point. And I'm going to move it to closer, so this end here. And I'm just going to snap it to this point here. Or just move it, I mean. And then exit pivot mode. And what we'll do is we'll actually move this over, and then we're just going to scale this in, making sure that we're on local mode, and then grab both of these and then change our pivot for both of them to this point here, right on the left top corner, and then scale them out. And how far we need to scale that is going to be dependent on what we think is going to match the other part. So we'll just bring it over there and kind of see, based on our 2D paper model, what how much we're going to have to scale this. So I'm just going to move this piece over to the corner, and looks like that's good, but they're going to be moving apart, so we're going to have to go to view space and then bring them back over to our working area. And so we'll take this piece, and we can make the other pieces with it. So grabbing that piece and deleting it, we'll get it out of the way. And then let's attach this door to the end so that it's together with the other piece. But we first have a problem here. We have a little gap here. So we're just going to copy this and rotate it. But I want to just center the pivot point just so that it rotates well, and rotate it oh, it's rotated about 90 degrees, and then move it outwardly so it covers that gap. Um, and then I'm just going to move it in, and we'll move our other pieces to match that, so there's no gap there. Okay, so now we have our corner, inner corner, and I'm just going to move this over a bit. Okay. Now we can move along and attach this door to this piece. So there's actually going to be two doors, but we got to start with the first one. So I just want to grab this outer edge and place it right there. And then what we'll do is we'll just copy this over and make a door next to it. So I'm just gonna mirror it, and that's where our door actually should be, because the gap is going to be on the left side and not the right, because the two doors open from the middle. So what we want to do is snap this gap here, this point here, to right here, and then we'll mirror it over to the other side. So I'm just going to check this and see if this is exactly how we want it, and then we'll change the pivot point to the middle here. So that's going to be the top right corner. I'm just going to copy it and then mirror it and hit OK. And so now we have our two doors there. So the other side, we'll just copy it over and mirror it as well. But I want to change the pivot point to the center. So I'm going to move it right to there. Okay, and then turn that off, and then copy it, and then mirror it along the x-axis. But we have to actually group it first, because it's going to disrupt the objects. So let's move the pivot point again to the group, copy it, and then mirror it. And it's going to be on the X, and there it is. It's perfectly in there. So pretty easy. Now we're missing some of the top pieces, as you can see in the bottom pieces, the granite on the bottom. So we're going to need those, and then we're going to need the top pieces, but let's take it one thing at a time and add the side pieces. So I'm just going to place these near where they're going to go. Before we start building, we might need to adjust a few things, so like moving this down. Is going to be actually the granite is going to be below the windows, so we're going to have to actually move that by itself down to the bottom left corner. And I'll just take this and isolate it, and then I want to get rid of all these extra edges, because we don't really need those. There's not really much going on in this object except just one piece. So let's get rid of our points as well. Remove those, and then grab these ones and remove those. So now we just have one plane, and I'm actually going to extrude it. So we probably want about 25 or so. But to get good depth, I think we can go more like something like 80, but um, so now it's sticking out, so we got to move that back. But first I'm just going to change the pivot point from way over here to the top left corner, outside corner, and then I'm just going to snap it right to this bottom here. So that looks pretty good. Um, Now I'm just going to copy it and place it over to the right. Um, so uh, we're going to just snap it to here after we've applied our textures to the rest of our piece. And I'm just going to snap this to here, the corner, and then we'll rotate it. I think it was it 80? Yeah, 80. But it's a little bit too small. So we're going to have to snap it to this piece and then scale it, or move the vertices. So I'm just going to scale it for right now, and we'll just scale it so it meets this edge. Those points right on top, and that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to grab our other piece here and bring it down into place. So what I want to do now is actually grab this and copy our stone over. Oh, the wrong piece. So we're just going to grab this and copy it over. So I'm just going to copy it one more time. And we have our window here. So let's snap this to here to finish off this bottom piece. And I'm just going to make this looks like we're not going to need it under the door. Sorry about that. So we're going to have to move everything else up to the door, or actually we could move the doors down, is what we need to do. So I'm just going to drag our doors down to the bottom, and that looks pretty good, but we also need the top window of the door. So let's go grab that piece, which is going to be this one here, and we'll just copy it over, and then rotate it 90 degrees. Another 90, and place it with our point, our pivot point, from over here to the bottom. And then I'm just going to drag this up here and snap it. And then we got to build this in 3D. So I'm going to turn on edge faces and make sure this is at the corner, which doesn't look like it's right there. It was a little bit off. So I just want to place this right to this corner here. Still looks like it's a little bit off. So that looks better. And then we'll just then we'll just go to our front view and delete some of these edges, but I want to actually move it to our normals, or our map, our color map, and some of these lines are already pretty much here, so I'm just going to move these points up. And actually we're going to need that bottom one first, and then this one. Then we'll do the sides. So we're going to need this one to be at the edge of our wood, our frame. And then we'll move these ones over to the window pane frame. It looks like that's all we're going to need to do for this part. So I'm just going to go to our edges and remove the middle ones. And then I'll remove the outer ones for our wood here. Actually don't want that one because that's going to be the one we're going to need to keep all these pieces together. So I want to just grab these rest of these edges and delete them. Looks like we don't want the end ones, so there we go. And now we can extrude this. So I'm just going to grab our frame here and go to extrude. How about something like, I don't know, 5? Just hit extrude, option box settings, there we go. And make this 30, or that looks pretty good. So we'll just hit the checkbox, and then I'm going to extrude the window. I think maybe for this one we'll do -5, and that will break out that window. So now I want to delete these extra points. Probably could have did that before we extruded, but this is still going to work. So let's hit grab this last one, hit remove, and so yeah, that looks good. So now I'm going to change the pivot point and mirror it, copy it, and then mirror it on the Y axis. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to do a quick save, and I'll see you on the next tutorial.